The CFL has announced their 2021 inductees, which includes 5 former players. One of those players is Nik Lewis, former Calgary Stampeder, as well Montreal Alouette. Our next guest was part of that team that had him with the Montreal Alouettes. Kavis Reed was the general manager there. Kavis, thank you for taking this time. Now, Kavis, you had Nik Lewis in his last 2 seasons of the CFL. Just what did he bring to that locker room, after 2 Grey Cups and after over 10 years in the league?
One of the primary things I think of when I think of Nick is the fact that he is such a willing sharer of information. He is so willing to mentor. He was absolutely one of those quote unquote grandfather figure in the locker room that was willing to show guys how to get things done at the highest level, what it took to be excellent on the field, how to manage their bodies, how to manage their lifestyle off the field, and be prepared every single time when your number is called. His leadership skills in the locker room was much welcomed, and I know that there are a lot of young people that benefited from having Nick in that locker room.
Now, Lewis is the all-time receptions leader for the CFL. Kavis, what did he do that set him apart from other receivers?
Oh man, this dude was fearless. He was a receiver that had a linebacker's mentality. And I think that his fearlessness was the reason why he made difficult catches. And it's the yards after catches that were very impressive. Not only was he sure-handed, but he was someone that was going to get those extra yards because he wasn't afraid of the contact. And in fact, often he initiated the contact. And those are sometimes traits we don't often apply to receivers, but he was truly a throwback football player with a fearlessness that made him play the game the right way.
And now, Kavis, you yourself, when you were a player, were a defensive back. Do you think this fearlessness is what gave so many defensive backs and linebackers troubles with Lewis?
It was definitely, you knew that that was 200 plus pounds. We won't go into his real weight near the end of it, but we knew that that 200 plus pound was going to come after you, and you had to be prepared for a battle every single possession. Not only did he do a great job when the ball was thrown to his side, but he also did a tremendous job when he was in a blocking situation. He was excellent at blocking. He was a very determined and willing blocker. Another attribute that you don't often attribute to receivers, but something that you would attribute to the Hall of Fame type receiver. So he was complete in terms of his whole athleticism and his ability to catch the ball, his determination. He had truly the complete package, and it was a battle for 60 minutes with Nick.
And Kavis, while you did coach him for 2 years, you coached against him for 10 years while he was with the Calgary Stampeders. And I mean, Kavis, just how hard was it to game plan for a guy like this?
You had to know where he was, and you had to know that in very tight situation and in critical situation, he was the primary target. You knew that. Somewhat it made it easy because you knew he was going to be around and he was going to be the focal point, but it also made it very stressful because there are only so many people you can dedicate to someone, and he allowed double teams to happen to himself, which put a lot of the people in individual situations, which in the CFL, like in football in general, is very difficult on the size of the field to be able to have defensive back in one-on-one situation. Nick opened up a lot of opportunities for a lot of other receivers that he played with. And as a defensive coordinator, it made that chess match a lot more difficult, having to figure out where he was. And knowing that a small DB by himself was not going to bring him down. So the guys had to have their energy and their wind ready to go that game to be able to rally and gang tackle Nik Lewis.
Those Stampeders teams also had a fantastic running back in John Cornish. I mean, just how much did having all-star players like this open up the field for other players?
Absolutely. That's what Hall of Fame talent does for you. It truly allows others to benefit off of your presence on the field. The other thing I will also say about Nick, if you look historically, he seldom missed games. I know there are a couple of injuries he battled in his career. That's going to be the case when you have such a long career, but he was always present. He was more often than not available to play. You can't be a Hall of Famer if you're not on the field producing and participating. And Nick was, his durability really, really served him well throughout the years.
Well, Kavis, thank you very much for taking this time and joining me. And congratulations to Nik Lewis and the rest of the 2021 Hall of Fame class.